for asking questions.
Yeah.
So the teacher. You know, when you watch 500-600 short films in a couple months, all independent, all being submitted to the Sherman Oaks Film Festival, which is not, you know, your biggest festival. When you see the teacher, I am without words to see a film that, no matter what, proves that if a Hollywood studio turned to you and said, make this action film, a 90-minute feature, it would just be one of the better features we would see. I mean, that's a flawless action film.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. Thank you.
I mean, it's beautifully choreographed. I mean, besides the car, through the alley, it's incredible. I love your use of the camera.
Thanks.
Everything. I have to say, it's just a masterpiece of cinema.
Wow. Well,
I mean, of action cinema. I mean, it's just absolutely fantastic.
Well, that means a great deal. Thank you so much.
Was that your intention? Were you?
Well, actually, it was the intention to make a masterpiece.
Well, I could call it hard to say. Look what I can do with action.
In a way, yes, because it actually is closer to that first scenario. This was a collaboration between two pretty large companies, Wanda Studios, Wanda Group in China, and DJI, who are a manufacturer of film equipment. And what they wanted to do was collaborate for the opening of a movie studio in China. And so we worked with them to create something that would showcase their facilities, parts of Qingdao, China. Not a lot of people know Qingdao. And so in an effort to appeal to Western filmmakers, they wanted to showcase some of the range of locations that you could find. And so we went there and we toured around and we created this piece that has little bits and pieces that appear to take place in Germany or in Japan with the Japanese tea house. It's all within a very small radius of the studio. And what DJI was looking to get out of it was to showcase how some of the equipment could be used by filmmakers to tell stories visually without relying on dialogue per se. And so together they were able to put significant resources together to allow us to put together what is basically a small slice of what would be a feature level.
Right, so really it's a showpiece of that community as well as the equipment company as well as just the entire ecosystem there.
Yeah, exactly. So when we shot it, there was this big opening ceremony for the film festival, and they had like a couple thousand people there come show up, and we screened parts of the film, and then we did a whole presentation, and we actually had our actors perform that alley fight you mentioned live. That alley for that shot was recreated on the soundstage, and it's the largest soundstage in the world, which is, those words don't really do it justice. You get there and it's unbelievable. So if you can imagine, like, this whole space, our whole alley was like this tiny little thing. It was really kind of pathetic looking in the middle of this whole thing. It was totally underutilized for that purpose, but they packed the whole thing with people, and then they did that stunt run live with multiple cameras, and we did it in front of an audience twice. And so that was, again, sort of a showpiece to sort of highlight some of the capabilities again of the studio and the gear. So.
Right. So if Nathan wants to shoot his feature, maybe go to China.
Well, that's the idea. I mean, the idea is to release. China is becoming such a big player in the film market. They really wanted to, appeal to Western audiences and to have something to show that not all Chinese films have to look like China. There are parts of it that can look like, Eastern Europe. There are parts that can. We had a whole scenario that was going to take place in Mexico, because there's a part of Qingdao that looked very much like Mexico. We cut it because the time we wound up shooting it, but the idea is that it's very versatile there, and so the combination of equipment that allows a lot of versatility and location and facilities result in.
And how did you get involved in the project? Did they come to you, or did you have
I do a lot of work for DJI. I'm a commercial director, so I direct a lot of their commercials and work a lot with their gear. And so when they came to us, I wasn't originally going to direct it. I went there to China, and we toured around, came up with some ideas for things, and then as for as many resources as they put into it, the resources just weren't there for a big name director. That they're hoping to get a larger name, but lucky for me, they settled for me. It was pretty great.
Well, I don't know if you ever heard, but I said to someone in the front row before it started, I'm like, do you like John Woo films? I mean, they didn't need John Woo because they had you. You know, that's,
I'm gonna quote.
but
Let's
that's show of hands. Who agrees? Right? Yeah. All right. Well, let me open it up to these lovely
Well, how
people.
about Ang Lee? All right.
Hi.
I love that girl.
Yeah.
Whoever she was terrific. Now, all that fighting and stuff, she's a trained person, obviously. Right?
She is, Sarah Chang. Yeah, she's phenomenal. One of the things that we were lacking was time, so we didn't really have a lot of time to train actors to learn to fight. So everyone that was in the project was, except for the contractor, the older gentleman at the end, everyone were trained fighters and to some extent stunt people. We only had a stunt double for Sarah, the main actress, and it actually came into play quite necessarily because she wound up injuring herself on that alley fight. But everyone else, including her, they've all worked with like Jackie Chan. They're all really top their game.
She
And
looked it.
Yeah.
It was amazing how in 15 minutes, I think these things are 15 minutes, you started out, or I started out, thinking that, oh, the poor girl, she's getting the truck, or, and then she was running and everything, and then slowly it became obvious that she could take care of herself. And then at the end, the ending was so, terrific that she said,
oh,
yeah, it was so professional. It's really, it was so professional, really.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. That was something that we wanted to do with the choreography. The idea is that she is a trained assassin, but has left that life behind and is now a school teacher. So the idea is that she's not expecting to have to fight this day. It's been a while. She's kind of rusty. So at first, she's kind of groggy, as it were. And over the course of the fight, we purposely worked with our stunt coordinator, fight choreographer, to have her sort of reawaken those skills. So that's great that came through. I
Yes,
appreciate
it really
that.
did.
Thank you.
I almost interrupted at the beginning when you started to say what was the budget. I think it's a question on everyone's mind.
Yeah, it's more than a normal short film. Certainly more than anything that I've done before. Again, with these two companies putting together, it was in the neighborhood of $1 million.
Yeah.
Which, if you do the math, I did the math because on Film Freeway, I think it said $1 million, and for the budget, I'm like, could be, maybe not. But if you do the math, 14 minutes times 7 gets you to 100 minutes. So if you extrapolated that to feature length, that'd be a bargain, right? I mean, under 10 million for a film that I mean, I guarantee you there's no $10 million movie that looks like that, that's a 100-minute action movie.
Yeah, I mean, we really were. I mean, as much as the budget was, we really were able to do a lot with, the resources that we had. Originally we had scheduled out a 12-day shooting schedule, and then that got cut down to 9. And then as we got into it, it was clipped to 8 because of we had an issue. Then that was down to 7, and then when we got there, they moved it to 6. And then when we started shooting, it was 5.
So you made this Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday, and we had another half day because we had a weather day. The day of the car stunt, it was so windy that metal cladding was flying off the sides of buildings and rolling down the street. So they called it, and we got an extra half day for that. But the point being that we, for as much money and resources that we had, we really weren't able to do everything and anything that we wanted. We did have to be sort of disciplined and structured to get as much as we could out of it. But yeah, we again, it was the biggest budget that I've worked with, and I was very fortunate to kind of find myself in that seat.
Right, we'll go this side and then back over there.
How did you attach financing for $1 million short film?
Well, I was trying to explain earlier that basically the financing was provided by the two companies that came together to basically, this is in essence a promotional piece.
Yeah,
So
it's like a proof of concept.
Well, yes, to some extent. It's designed to showcase the film equipment of a company that's a relatively large player in the film equipment company, as well as a showpiece for a movie studio in China. So what they wanted to do was have a very short proof of concept, as you will, of
Like
what
a sizzle of their.
sort of, yeah. So a narrative sizzle, if you will, that sort of showcases what some of the capabilities are. If you were to come to this studio in China, again, Qingdao, China is not really a well-known place, and people don't really associate it with Hollywood per se. But they have created an amazing studio there, and they built it's kind of hard to describe. They built an island there to support the film studio. So 5-6 years ago it was just water, and now all those streets that we were driving on, they built that. It's there to support that studio. So there are like hotels and hospitals and theaters and schools, and it is a real big investment that they put in there to their film industry. And so for the opening of it, they wanted to do something that was, that would appear at the level of production that they want to draw.
So just to clarify, they had this idea and commissioned you to direct.
They had the
Is that
idea
how this
to come up with a short film, and that was pretty much it. So we worked together over a number of weeks. It came together pretty quickly. A number of weeks to try to fashion something that would sort of suit their purposes and the DJI's purposes. So there were sort of some boxes to check.
Who was
One-
we?
We being the production team that put it together. So DJI and Wanda Studios together with the crew that was actually doing the production. So we collectively, the film team, were coming up with scenarios that check some boxes. They wanted to showcase different international looking locations that were within the vicinity. There were a couple features of their studio that they wanted to showcase. One of them being that large soundstage, and even though it was a bit overkill for what we were using it for, it wound up being just fine for the actual presentation. There were other things that we wound up not being able to do. They have the world's largest water tank there, and they wanted to do something with that, but even for all the money that we had, there wasn't enough money to do something that involved,
Yeah, you couldn't do a Titanic sequel.
No, I mean, we were thinking about, does she crash the car into like the harbor or something like that? And when you're dealing with these kind of stunts and stuff, the money does go relatively quickly at that level. So we weren't able to do that.
All right, well, we can squeeze one more in, so I'm just gonna, here, right here in the front. Sorry. We'll do that last back row too.
Okay, so what I'm sorry, what was the city?
Qingdao.
Qingdao. So did the city crop up around it as a backlot, or is that a functioning city that it's both?
Yeah, so it's a functioning city, but within that city, they sort of selected that to be the location of the studio. So they had a little part of the harbor that they had some land that they built, and they've actually shot some films there even before the studio was completed. They filmed The Great Wall with it's a Matt Damon film. They filmed Pacific Rim 2 there, and this was while it was under construction. So those were sort of, again, other proof of concepts for Western films to be shot there. But again, not a lot of people had heard about it, so they wanted to get the word out.
And then last row gets to go last.
I was just wondering, what's the camera or the equipment that you were showcasing?
Well, the camera we shot on Reds.
What sort of Reds?
We had a Helium and we had a Dragon, and I think we had a third camera that was also a Dragon for one of the days. And then the equipment that was used, we really made the most of the DJI Ronin 2, the Force wheels that are the Master wheels, which are used to control the Ronin 2. The Force Pro, which is basically like it's an IMU that controls the camera. So if you have the Ronin like all the way over there, you could have this thing mounted on a tripod, and you move the tripod, but it would be real time as if you're moving the camera. So that's how we did that alley fight. We had 3 different cameras on a dolly, 2 of them with remote heads and one with a locked angle. And so the only way that we would be able to, with a tighter lens, to follow all those people were to be able to actually do it live. They couldn't ride on the dolly or anything like that. So we really try to design a lot of the shots to showcase that gear. Same thing with going through the window of the car, or going behind the swordsman and up and down at the photographs. It was all utilizing Ronin. We had some drone shots in there, obviously, which was the Inspire 2, and the X7 camera. Phenomenal resolution, you guys. 4 different lenses.
Is there a version of the film where there's little pop-ups of what
You know
equipment
what?
was used here and there?
Funny enough, we had done something a couple years prior, a very short little action scene. It was a snowmobile chase that we filmed in Finland and Sweden, and we did just that. In the middle of this short action film, it would stop and you'd see the behind the scenes of what's happened, and then it'd sort of pop out and you'd see what the gear is, and it would sort of talk about some of the gear. So this was really nice in that we didn't have to actually include the equipment on camera, which is sort of a nice change of pace, because normally, you know, it needs to be about the gear as opposed to what the gear can do.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.